Live. Welcome to JT Talks Jobs. This is my podcast where I help you every single day get a new, better paying job. I'm going to give everybody a minute or two to get on the live. I'm currently live on TikTok. Shout out to TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube today. Thousands of you tuning in to get your job search and career questions answered in real time. So happy to have you here. So folks, where did the idea for JT Talks Jobs, the live podcast, come from? Well, right now, we are seeing a white collar job recession like I've never seen in my lifetime. I worked in the staffing recruiting industry for years. I ran a $25 million division of a staffing company in the Silicon Valley. And then I ran a $38 million division of a company in the here back on the East Coast in the tech staffing. And then I became a career coach. And over the 20 years, I've seen a lot of things. I've seen recessions, restructurings, but I've never seen a white collar job recession like the one I'm seeing right now. And so for me, it's really, really important that I get this advice out to people because the typical ways that you look for work are no longer working. And unfortunately, I can't work one-on-one with millions of people, but I can use incredible tools like this to get out there and spread the word and give you the actionable advice that you need to know. If you're watching this, it's because you want to earn more, you want to stress less, and you want to actually love your work again. And that's what I'm going to help you do with the latest strategies, tools, and tactics that are working for people. So with that in mind, I want you to get into it. No holds barred. Please ask your questions here. Share what you need to share, and I will do my very best to answer them for you. If I can, I'll be honest with you about that. I'll let you know what I can and can't teach you. But for me, it's about leveraging the 20 years that I've been doing this, helping thousands of job seekers, thousands of professionals, year over year over year, master their own destiny. And I do that by making sure you understand that you're a business of one. You're a service provider selling your services. And that means you need to have a brand strategy. You need to have a marketing plan for that business of one. And most people don't know that. And so when I can break that down for you and show you how to build that and execute on it in a way that makes you feel satisfied and successful, you're going to see a lot better results. So that's what this is all about. Okay. So again, if you've got questions, please pop them in the chat. I would love to answer them for you. My goal is to make your life better, especially when it comes to job searching career. Okay, awesome. So let me give some shout outs here. Lots of people logging in, tons of people logging in on TikTok. Shout out to my TikTokers out there. Good to have you all here. If you've got a question, again, just pop it in the chat. I will do my very best to answer it. In fact, I think I can just kind of focus this over here. Shout out to Kenny and James, Sasha, Patricia, Ami. Lots of people jumping on today. Good to have you all here. Very, very happy. And again, don't be shy. Ask your questions. See lots of people on YouTube. And then, of course, lots of people on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn folks, don't be shy. Lindsay says, do you ever do mock interview videos? Yeah, so we actually have a service within Work It Daily where people can purchase mock interview sessions with our coaches. And then what we do is we record the session, we interview you, and then we send you a whole detailed set of notes afterwards on feedback and what we want you to work on. And the reason for that is that we want people to get super familiar with that. Now, not everybody can afford to hire somebody to do mock interviews. So if you're looking for tips on how to do mock interviews, folks, it's pretty simple. It's called your phone. You should be writing down the 18 most common questions and answering them on your phone, recording them and playing back to yourself. You will not believe how much you will glean just from doing that simple exercise. Just by recording yourself, looking into the camera and then playing it back, you will see, like, am I saying too much or too much? Am I not focusing my eye contact? Did I miss certain points? Was I all over the place? A lot of things can be self-corrected in interview prep when you record yourself and play it back. So if you've never done that, before you even do a mock interview with someone else, if you have never recorded yourself answering those really common questions, you absolutely should do that as a first step. Nobody's going to see it. Absolutely. Nobody's going to see it but you, right? But you will learn a lot about yourself if you record it and play it back. Absolutely. All right. Hopefully that made sense. Again, shout out to everyone. Thank you for the likes and the shares and the follows. This is one of the ways you're able to help me help others. If more people know that I'm going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday with the JT Talks Jobs podcast, hopefully I can get the right information out to more people. So I really appreciate you. Every time you like it, every time you share it, every time you follow me, it really helps spread the word, and I could not be more grateful. So thank you for that. Yeah. Let's see. Interviewing for an in-office corporate role 5 days a week. Can I negotiate 1 day a week remote? Let's talk about that. All right, folks. These days, there's a big trend of companies wanting people back in the office full-time. And so you're seeing job descriptions that are very clear that you are in office X days a week, right? Might be 3, might be 5. If a company has made it clear in their job description that they want in office 5 days a week, it is going to be extremely difficult for you to negotiate for a day at home. They've made it clear in the job description what they want. And in this job market, they can get it. There's enough people out there right now that they can get it. So please know that if they've said, look, this is an in-office job, you going through the interview process is saying, I accept that it's an in-office job. So when you get to the salary phase and you try to negotiate a day home, they're going to rescind the offer from you because that says you wasted our time and you didn't understand what we were looking for. You got to be really careful in this market. So my advice is if a company is saying absolutely 5 days a week and they ask you for an interview, before you go through the whole interview process with them, you should be saying, look, I'd really love to get to a place where it's 4 days a week in the office, 1 day from home. Would that be possible now or somewhere down the line? I don't want to waste your time going through the interview process if I'm not a fit. You need to own to that. You can't do it on the back end, especially with the return to office stuff right now. It is a hot topic with employers and they're not budging on this. They're being very clear up front. So you either need to agree to it or ask about it prior to going through the entire hiring process. Otherwise, you could really burn a bridge there. How do you convince them to hire you in the last round of interviews? Oh, okay. Let's think of this. So you get to the final interview and you want to be the one they pick. I think you need to understand what's happening in this moment. You have made it to a round where everybody is essentially the same. They're down to usually 2 to 3 candidates. And so this is the moment where they're saying, we got 3 great apples in front of us. All these apples look perfect, but we can only eat 1 apple today. So which apple are we going to pick? This is where what we would call like fine-tuning discrimination comes in. It's not illegal discrimination. Hiring is discrimination. In that final moment, I've got to discriminate. I've got to choose one person over the other 2, and they're all looking equally good. So I'm looking for these like little nuances that are going to make me decide that this is the better candidate. Now, what are those little nuances? It's how you save or make the money. At the end of the day, they are looking for a candidate that can more than justify the cost of hiring them. You've got to save or make this company enough money. You've got to solve problems. You've got to alleviate pain. To be the must-have candidate that gets chosen, that final interview is about you reinforcing that you understand your job is to take things off their plate, is to make their work lives easier, is to solve problems, is to alleviate pain, is to be the aspirin, is to save money, is to make money. I am saying these things because you need to talk like that in that final interview. You need to give answers that are framed out with things like, one of the reasons this is so important is because we'll be able to save money. One of the ways that I like to alleviate stress for you and remove, a pain point is to do this. You're actually using language that talks about saving money, making money, solving problems, alleviating pain. Okay. These are the things that you say to be the must-have candidate, because the person that does the best job in that last interview of articulating that is the one that has convinced them that they are the best value. They are the best bang for the buck. And that's how you get chosen. Now, I see a lot of people go into final interviews, and here's the mistake they make. They get nervous. You get inside your head. I get it, because you think this is a win-loss scenario. You're being short-sighted. You need to play the long game. I would actually go into this final interview and say, look, I'm not going to get this job today, but I'm going to work here one day. And so what I need to do in this interview is continue to develop the relationship with these people. And so I want to talk to them about saving the money, making the money, solving their problems, alleviating their pain. And I could even be so honest to say is I really want to be the person for this job. I understand you've got 3 great candidates. My job today is to really continue to build our relationship, because if you don't choose me for this job, I would love for you to choose me for the next one, right? Like that kind of honesty is going to let you relax. It's going to let them relax. And then you focus on giving them this information. Oftentimes people go in, and because they're looking at this like win or lose, one of 2 things happens. They either pull back in their confidence because they don't want to sound cocky, or they oversell themselves because they're trying to close the deal. Both of those are no good. Too little, too much, no good. You got to get it down the middle. And so that's why I'm talking about the pain points and the money. These are the things that will remind them that you can do this job the best, that you are the must-have candidate. But don't forget to go in and play the long game and say, look, my goal is to develop a relationship with you so that if I don't get this job, I can hopefully get the next one. That's what you want to share with them. And that will, again, bring down your own anxiety so that you can get it right down the middle. Okay. All right. Okay. So Leah says, JT, catch this. Okay, I love a good story, Leah. Let's bring it. I was contacted by the HR individual for a position. I had an interview with her. It was over an hour. She was super impressed with what I had to offer. She stated she would be in contact with me in regards to the next step. Guess what? Crickets. I reached out to them after waiting for weeks and wanted an answer. Finally got a customer service rep and she reached out to HR and left me a voicemail saying the position is on hold due to family issues. Okay, since it is interesting. Yep. So first of all, there are a lot of jobs being put on hold right now. There are a lot of companies that feel very up in the air and aren't sure. So they start interviewing and then they're like, ooh, we need to slow our roll. We need to hold off. We don't have to hire for this position right this second. So let's pull back and wait till we absolutely positively need this position. Seeing a lot of that right now. That's just a trend that's happening due to the economic uncertainty in various businesses. Okay. But here's another thing I also want to mention is that you can have an outstanding conversation with a recruiter or an HR manager. Outstanding conversation. And they can say to you, I'm going to move you forward. That does not mean you're getting an interview. Not in any way, shape, or form. They can say no. So they can interview you and say, you didn't do a good job. You're not moving forward. They have zero control over saying yes. Zero. So folks, it is important to have a great conversation with HR and the recruiter, but that does not guarantee you any way, shape, or form that you're going to actually meet the hiring manager. Because what happens is they go have 5 to 10 conversations like this, and then they find the 5 people they thought were the best. They send those to the hiring manager, and then the hiring manager goes, yeah, but I only want to interview 3. So whether they put the job on hold or they ghost you completely, understand that that HR person, that recruiter really never had any control over you moving forward with the hiring manager. That's the key. You should celebrate that you got the interview with them and that they loved you and that they moved you forward. But right now in this market where it's so competitive, you wouldn't believe the number of people that are being told, I love you, I'm going to put you forward. And then crickets, never hear anything. And that's because that recruiter HR manager put 10 people forward and only 5 people got considered. So be mindful that these wonderful conversations you have with HR and recruiting, great to have them. They don't mean much other than they're potentially getting you to the next round. Potentially. But there is zero guarantee because they have absolutely no control over the process. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, you got to be mindful of that. It's hard to hear, right? Because we hear, oh my gosh, I did great in this interview. I'm totally going to the next round. But you're not. And that's just, it's just, we have to really understand this and manage our expectations. This is why I am doing this live podcast 3 days a week to help you understand what's happening over on the other side. You may not like it, but it is what's happening. And if you can at least understand it and know it, you can feel better instead of wondering, what did I do? Right? You didn't do anything. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just the nature of what's happening in the marketplace. Yep. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Now, as far as ghosting goes, folks, should companies be emailing you and letting you know a job is on hold, things aren't moving forward? It's it's the nice, polite, right thing to do. It's better for their own employer reputation if they do. But so many companies are overwhelmed right now that kind of stuff is falling through the cracks left and right. So I don't agree with it when companies ghost you like that. I think it's terrible. And I think job seekers have a long memory and that's going to come back to bite a lot of companies. But many companies right now just don't have that framework in place or that mindset. And it happens. Yeah. And it happens. Okay. Let's talk about when you've owned your own business or you've been an independent contractor for a really long time and now you want to go back into a corporate job. What do you do? So the big hurdle here is that when you've been independent for so long, most recruiters are immediately going to assume that you're not going to be able to play nice back in the corporate world because you're going to want to run everything. Also, they wonder if you've been doing this for so long, what's going on that you suddenly want to come back into corporate? So their mindset is, wait, something's going wrong in your business, or you're not cutting it anymore as an independent contractor. So now you want the security of a full-time job. And the moment you get that, you're probably going to leave us again and go become a business owner or an independent contractor. Now, does all this seem pretty cynical? Yes. Why? Because it happens to them all the time. If I was, and I am a business owner, right, looking to get back into the corporate world right now, here are several things I would do. First, I would be very strategic in terms of knowing what problem I want to solve for these businesses. What skill sets of mine did I want to leverage and solve that was bigger than anything I could do on my own? Okay. I want a bigger project, a bigger problem to solve, something that I couldn't do running my own business. All right. Second, I would make a bucket list of the companies that would need that skill set, that would need me to solve this bigger problem. Okay. I would then start networking, and I would network at the higher level, right? I would network at that C-suite executive level. And what I would do is I would ask them to connect and say, can I share a quick story with you about why I'm a fan of your company? And I would share that connection story that I teach all of you. So they understand, here's why I'm a fan. Here's what I think about your business, what you're doing better, faster, cheaper, smarter. When I offer specifics, I am validating, I'm authenticating and proving I know what I'm talking about and that I understand your business and that this isn't just a surface outreach, that I really do know your business. I am one of you. Okay. Now, once I give them that customized connection story, I tell them I'm looking to work on this problem. I really want to come back in house. I can't work on problems that big as a solopreneur or as an entrepreneur. It's time for me to come back in house, have peers, and work on bigger problems. That's why I would love to have a conversation with your company. I would ultimately like to work for a company like yours, where I have teammates, where there are more resources, and when we're doing bigger work. That resonates with people because lots of companies do something called Aqua Hiring. Do you know what Aqua Hiring is? It's when you acquire and hire the people of the business you acquire. So oftentimes companies will aqua hire somebody and say, you were working on your own. We need your skill set in-house. We're going to bring you in-house. And that's what you're trying to make happen in this scenario. So you have to have the right strategy, tools, and tactics to do this. Otherwise, you're not going to convince a lower level recruiter that you can do the job. You got to start way up here with a strategy around talking about this bigger problem so that you can say, this is the bigger problem I want to solve, and I can't do that on my own anymore. And that is how I've helped many, many, many business owners navigate themselves back in as almost like an aqua hire in order to get that corporate job. Excellent. Oh my gosh, this is such a great question. Why do people do better in interviews they don't care about? Why do we not do well in the interviews for the job we really want, but when we don't care about the job, we do super well? And that's because when we don't feel like we want the job, we're relaxed. There's nothing to lose because we don't want it in the first place. So you know what? We're more calm, we're more confident, we're more animated, right? We stutter less ums and ahs because there's nothing at stake here. So we're just having a relationship, we're just having a conversation. The moment we go interview for a job we really want, we get all up in our heads. This is like athletes, right? As they start to go for the higher level, right? They're going for the gold. You can get in your head. This is why they train athletes about keeping this thing in check. Well, when you get in front of people and you're like, I really want this job, you start panicking and second guessing everything you say and everything you do. When you're at a company that you really want to work for, you should 100% go in with the attitude that I am not getting this job. This first interview cycle is nothing more than an opportunity to build a relationship. I am not getting this job. I ultimately want to work here someday. So I am playing the long game. I'm just going to relax and focus on building relationships, sharing my value, and really hearing and learning what they look for in a candidate. I'm really trying to understand. This is more like a data gathering session and a relationship building session because I'm not getting this job, but I am sure as heck going to build a relationship with these people so they'll consider me for the next job. That is the mentality you need to go in with when it's a company that you really want to work for. When you do that, you're going to perform much better because you're taking the pressure off yourself because you're understanding it is not an all or nothing moment. This is a building block moment. This is a moment where you're playing the long game to get results down the line. Now, if you happen to get the job in the process, awesome. But at least you're taking the pressure off yourself so that you can be more relaxed and do a better job. Yeah, I love that question. If you put a lower salary on the application, will they lower their offer to match it? Oh, that's such an interesting question. Okay, folks. So these days, companies are requiring you to put your salary requirements on an application. And that's because companies are working within salary bands. Salary bands are budgets, lowest to highest that they will spend on that job. They are given a budget. They're not allowed to budge from that budget. Okay. So when they ask you for your salary, they're trying to figure out whether or not you fit in their salary band. Now, if you fit in their salary band or you came in lower, could they potentially offer you less? They could, but here's how I coach people through it. First of all, you get the first interview, right? They asked you for your salary and they interviewed for the job and they say they're going to move you forward. So you always wait until they say you've made it through the first round and we're moving you to the second. Okay. Hear me out. Right. So you crush the first interview. They're like, we would love you for a second interview. We're moving you forward. And you could say, great. I have a question for you. Can you tell me the salary range for this job? Because the salary that I put on the application is what is my walkaway rate. What I mean by that is the lowest amount of money I could accept without me having to still look for another job that paid more. So ultimately, I would like to make more than what I listed. Can you give me the range for this salary? Because I would hate to waste your time. Now they've got to give you the salary range. And so once they give you the salary range, you know what to work with. So that when you get to the end of the interview process and they're like, we want to hire you, and they give you an offer and it's lower and you want the higher end of the salary range, now we start the negotiation tactics that we teach and work it daily, where you validate and provide the evidence that you can do the job and you request a higher rate, right? So let's recap that one more time, folks. When they ask you on an application what your salary is, put your walkaway rate right now in this market. Put the lowest amount of money you could take without having to walk away. If they don't list the salary range, that's why you're putting it in, right? They didn't give you a salary range. Then go on the first interview. When they say you are moving to the second interview, you have earned the right to ask for the salary range and explain to them that on the application you put on your walkaway rate, but that is not ideally what you want. Now they will have to reveal to you a salary range because you'll say, I don't want to waste your time going through this interview process if I'm not able to make, at least this, if not more, because I'm really looking to make more. So now they're having an open dialogue. You've earned the right to ask that question. They will give you a range and then you're able to go from there. Yeah, makes sense to everybody? Yeah, excellent. Awesome. Very, very good. Okay, let's see. John says, I'm a 59-year-old professional. I lost my job as an account executive last year. I had an extended illness, long COVID. Being 59, how do I explain this on an interview? John, my advice would be to put on both your LinkedIn and your resume that you had a caregiver sabbatical. And so a caregiver sabbatical simply means somebody within your immediate family needed caregiving and you had to take off time from work to do that. So you don't need to say that it was you. All you need to say is, yep, I had to take a caregiver sabbatical. A family member needed my support. That's been since resolved. Now I can't wait to get back to work. And that's all you need to say. That's it. It's all you need to say in that situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Preston is saying on LinkedIn, it seems like the recruiters and candidate relationship is like dating. When the recruiter wants you, you are it. When they don't want you, and you are now a liability. Not nice, but that has been my experience. When you don't hear from them, it means they found a new crush. They may keep you as a side piece, but don't count on it. Okay, so first of all, the idea of building the analogy of dating with recruiting is pretty dead on accurate, but maybe I can shed some light on what's happening. A recruiter is evaluated, and the way they keep their own job, right, because they want to keep their job, is by giving hiring managers exact matches. Think about that. Their job is to bring an exact match, an ideal candidate to the hiring manager. And so they're always on the hunt for the 3 to 5 candidates that are going to be the best. So what can happen is you can be that front runner, but as they're constantly sourcing and somebody comes up that is a better match, you are right. Because their job and their ability to keep their job is on them giving an exact match. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. It's just the reality. And when you have a job market like the one we're in now, where there is a lot of talent flooding the market, recruiters are constantly finding as good candidates, if not better. So you have to make sure that your interview skills are at the highest level right now. In fact, that's why at Work It Daily, I not only have an entire course on interview prep where I tell you what happens before, during, and after, all from the perspective of hiring managers and recruiters so that you are doing the right things through the process. I also go live every week inside that platform and exclusively talk about interview prep. It's every Thursday at noon Eastern. And the reason I do this is because interviewing, especially with the recruiter, and making sure that you are showing yourself as the must-have candidate is how you keep yourself in that top position. You really have to crush interviewing right now. You can do an okay job in interviewing and you can be the nice to have candidate, but the moment somebody who comes across as the must-have candidate comes along, you lose your position. And this is why everyone right now, if you are looking for work, has to be upping their interview skills. It's just the way the market is, because recruiters have to bring the best candidates at all times. That's their job. And so you could be at one day and then the next day you're not. And so knowing how to really escalate and elevate your game in interviews is how you're going to keep yourself in that front runner position. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Just want to say thank you to everybody. How are you liking my new live podcast, JT Talks Jobs? I go live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So enjoying talking to thousands of you during the work week. Loving all the questions that you're sharing with me. Remember, if you can't attend live, if you follow me on those pages, you will be able to watch the recording, at least on YouTube and LinkedIn. I don't think TikTok keeps the live up for very long. So if you're following me on TikTok right now, hey, TikTok, head on over to my LinkedIn, head on over to my YouTube, follow me there. That way you can always get access to JT Talks Jobs, the podcast. Awesome. Thank you for everyone on that. Great, great. And again, all of you liking, sharing, following, it means the world to me, as I am truly on a mission. You know, I want to tell a little story right now that I think a lot of you may not know. When I worked in staffing and recruiting, I saw a huge unmet need. It's what made me become a career coach, which was recruiters, we are focused on the person we can place. And there were a whole bunch of other people that were great, but we couldn't place them. Now, had these people gotten some coaching, they would be more hireable. And so I looked at it and said, but who's coaching these people? It's not the recruiter's job. The recruiter didn't have time. And quite frankly, the recruiter isn't paid to do that. So where are people getting the right advice to know what to say and do with recruiters, with hiring managers, with HR, how to navigate the process? And I went out and found out there was no place. You either spent thousands of dollars a month as an executive and got an elite level coach, or nothing. School wasn't teaching it to us. So people were out there blindly making mistakes and not knowing it and getting more frustrated and depressed because they didn't understand the rules of engagement. So the first thing that I try to teach all of you is that stop thinking like a helpless employee. Start thinking like an in control business of one who is partnering with these employers. They are your customer. And your job is to own your business. You are in business for yourself. But the big mistake people make is they think they're in business by themselves. These employers have boards of directors, have C-suites, have executives, have entire teams guiding them, have HR departments guiding them. Who's guiding you? Who's your board of advisors? Who's on your executive team? You're a business of one. So you have to go find the resources that can act like that for you. That is why everyone needs a career coach. Everyone. You should not be doing this alone because you don't know what you're doing. And what makes it worse is that people then default to, I'll ask Aunt Sally. You know, I'll do what my parents told me to do. My friend had luck with this. I'll try that. Have these people been working with job seekers for the last 2 decades? No. And more importantly, they have a relationship with you, so they're very biased. So this is why everyone who cares about their career, quite frankly, should find career coaching resources, whatever your budget, right? Maybe your budget is $0. Guess what? I have a YouTube channel. I have a TikTok channel. I have a LinkedIn feed, thousands and thousands of hours of videos and tutorials to teach you. Okay. So even if your budget's $0, there's no excuse right now. You need a board of advisors coaching you. But if you want someone to really guide you so that you can earn more and stress less and love your work, then there are now affordable ways for you to do that. Work It Daily is like a gym membership for your career, except you're not going to get sore, right? You don't have to work out. Good news, no working out. Work It Daily was built on the concept of at a gym, you pay one flat monthly fee and you get access to a whole bunch of stuff you could never otherwise have access to because you couldn't buy it yourself. I looked at it and said, we can do the same thing for career coaching. I can go and help thousands of people get the right answers, the right information, customize their approach, get the results they're looking for. I can give them a private environment where they can work directly with coaches, where they can be part of a like-minded community because you feel supported, right? And give them the video courses they need. It's called Courses Coaching Community, the 3Cs. And all do that in a low monthly membership rate that is affordable, that's budgetable, so you can get the results you're looking for. So I invite all of you. You all are entitled to a 7-day free trial because most people are like, I've never used a coach before. Or, they went and spent ridiculous money on a resume writer or a LinkedIn writer and they think we're all the same. That's not career coaching, folks. Those are scams. I want you to try us free for 7 days so that you can experience what it's like to be part of a community with coaching and with videos, courses that are going to help you get the results you can't get on your own. So go check it out. Come join us. I go live 5 times a week in that platform. 5 times a week. My job search masterclass is today. At the time I'm recording this at 3 p.m. Eastern today, I will be in my platform with all of my members, answering all their questions in real time and pointing them to the right resources in our platform for them to get the exact results they're looking for. Right? So if you've ever heard me talk about our 6-second resume, if you've ever heard me talk about our disruptive cover letter, if you ever heard me talk about the job matching matrix, these are proprietary tools that we teach our members so that they can get hired faster. Awesome. Okay, I hope to see you there. Thoughts on having a photo of yourself on your resume. So this is really interesting. When it comes to photos on resumes, it depends by country. So here in the US, we don't put photos on resumes, but in European countries, they put them on CVs. I will say this, you always want to have a photo on your LinkedIn profile. You won't even be considered for jobs. If they're looking for you on LinkedIn, if there's no photo, you won't be considered. But here, normally, we don't put it on a resume. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Will. I'm so glad. Welcome to all my first-time podcast listeners and viewers. Glad to have y'all here. Quick recap. 20-year career coaching veteran. Have helped thousands of people every single year get new, better paying jobs. Have been through all the Great Recession, the dot-com bust. I've been through it. I've seen it. I've coached to it. Right. And I'm here studying it and giving you the most timely advice depending on what's happening. The career advice and the job search advice I'm giving right now at the time I'm recording this is so dramatically different than 2 years ago, than 1 year ago, right? Different environment, different circumstances, different things needed. So it's really important that you get the most up-to-date information so that you're doing the right things. Yeah. So welcome. Oh, that's interesting. Getting laid off, but they're offering me part-time. Okay, so this is really interesting, folks. If you are getting laid off and they're offering you part-time, take the part-time job. In many states, you can still claim partial unemployment. So go look at the unemployment laws in your state. You won't be able to take full employment, but you will be able to show them that you only have a part-time job. And in some states, they will allow for partial unemployment, just, depending on how many hours of part-time work you're getting. So as long as you're under or at the threshold, you can still be collecting unemployment. And I would advise that because having a job on your resume, even part-time, is still better than not having one, is my advice. Yeah. Let's take this one about Adne. I've tweaked my resume countless times and applied to all sorts of jobs that I can't get hired after 2,000 applications. I need a surefire way to get hired right now. My livelihood is at stake. Okay. All right. The 2 biggest things I hear wrong with this that people say to me all the time is, JT, I've tweaked my resume 7 times, 12 times, 15 times, right? And it's not working. Folks, your resume doesn't get you hired right now. It does not get you hired now. There's no amount of gaming the resume that's going to get you through the ATS. And unfortunately, a lot of people are gaming the resume so much to get through the ATS that when a human looks at it, they can tell it's been gamed and they don't move you forward. Okay. Your resume should be built once. It's a 6-second resume format, meaning it's in the skimmable format because that's what recruiters want right now. And then as you are reaching out to companies for certain jobs, you can tweak the top fold of the resume. It takes all of 30 seconds to do to better match it to a particular position. Okay. But that is the strategy that's working for people right now. All that being said, please understand your resume doesn't get you the job right now. Not when thousands of people are applying for the same jobs. Your connection story and your hustle, your back channel, your effort to go a different route to get in front of a hiring manager is what's going to get you an interview. Because companies are overwhelmed with applicants. And so your chances of even being seen are very slim. I'm hearing so many stories of people saying, I applied to 2,000 jobs. And I'm here to tell you that based on the math, only 1 to 3% of the time will you get through and get a phone call for an interview. So 97 to 99% of the time, you are going to fail. So those 2,000 applications that probably took you a minimum of 30 minutes to an hour each, right? Let's just say 2,000 hours. Only 1 to 3% of that, okay, actually was of value. That is not a way to look for work right now. And it hurts to hear this because you're going to come at me and say, but that's what they tell us to do, JT. That's what the employers tell us to do. They tell us we have to apply online, so we do it. Okay. Just because they tell you to do it doesn't mean that's how people are getting jobs. Let me say that again. Just because they're telling you to do it that way does not mean that's how they're getting jobs. The people getting jobs are the people that are in some way, shape, or form connecting with people in the department or with the hiring manager directly. Now, if you have a network and you know people who know people at a company, referral is a very popular way to get your foot in the door. But for many of us, we don't have that network. And so we have to use a different networking technique called back channeling in order to show that we're putting skin in the game and that we're standing out and that we're getting to the right people. Now, you might say that sounds like a lot of work. Yes, but not nearly as much of a waste of time as applying to 2,000 jobs where you flat out know 99 to 97% of the time you're not getting through. Choosing who you want to work for, being intentional, and then reaching out to these companies strategically in the right way is going to produce far better results for you than this wasted motion, like being on a treadmill or being on a hamster wheel that's getting you nothing. And this is what I think scares people. If you keep doing what you know, that's fine, but that's the definition of insanity. You're not going to get results. At some point in time, you're going to have to put yourself in what I call temporary productive discomfort. What that simply means is you're going to take yourself out of your comfort zone and learn something new. Because what you're doing now that you know how to do is not working. You got to stop. You got to stop the insanity. You've got to put yourself in temporary productive discomfort, and you need to learn the new job shopping techniques that can help you in this market. That's what you have to do. That's why I'm here. This is what I'm sharing on the podcast 3 times a week. And if you want a step-by-step process to learn how to do that, to speed it up, to get yourself really fast through the temporary productive discomfort so that you can actually get results, that's why Work It Daily exists. And that's why I have a 7-day risk-free trial, because people are doubters. People are haters, right? And so I'm like, great. Then all you need to do is pay nothing. And for 7 days, give me 15 minutes a day to show you that what you're doing is wrong. And what you need to be doing is going to get you results. And you can learn it because it's not rocket science and it's not brain surgery. But you're going to have to learn at some point, folks. Doesn't matter if it's with me or someone else. Applying online over and over again is not going to work in this economy. So if you need a job desperately, you need a totally different set of strategy, tools, and tactics right now. My question to you is, where are you going to learn it? Because you have to learn it. You're going to have to put yourself in a little learning mode, temporary productive discomfort to learn it. It's not going to last forever. And like, what's it worth to you? Spend a little time and energy to get the job that's worth thousands of dollars to you. Let's do this. You can do this. Absolutely, positively. But you're going to have to take the step. You're going to have to do the thing. Yeah. I hope that made sense. Why would employers give advice on how to get hired that they will ignore? Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, so you do have some employers out there right now that tell you, here's what it takes to get hired at our company, but they have so many people applying to their company, it's still a numbers game. So just because you do it doesn't mean you get a job. That's the thing, folks, right? Companies can tell you this is what it takes to get hired at our company, and you can do all of those things. But if there's 50 other people doing all those things and they can only hire for 10 positions, then you only have a 20% chance of getting it. That's just the reality. That's the math. So we have to accept that it is an extremely competitive market. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You want something very badly, but not everybody's a winner, right? Not everyone wins just because they try. And that's what's happening right now at a very high rate. And it's hard. It's scary. I mean, the people that come to us and Work It Daily, they have so much anxiety because they feel no sense of control over their future. Does that sound like you? If that sounds like you, Put yes in the comments or hit the like button. If you are sitting there going, oh my gosh, I feel no sense of control over my future, this is what's keeping me up at night. Right? And meanwhile, you get up and do the same things over and over again that aren't working. You got to take a beat. You got to take a breath because it is a highly competitive market out there. You are talented, but so are a lot of other people. And so what are you going to do differently? Think about any sport. As it gets more competitive, the people have to play at a higher game. They have to have more skills. They need to try different things. What worked in the minor leagues isn't going to work in the major leagues. And right now, my friends, you're all playing in the majors. Time to upskill. If you want it, you got to upskill because there's lots of talented people. You know, you've probably all heard this. None of us are special. Okay. None of us should think we're special, but we all are unique. And so at Work It Daily, our goal is to teach you your UVA, your unique value add. What that means is that you know how to convey your value, how you will save a company money, how you will make a company money, how you will solve their problems, how you will alleviate their pain, because that's what companies buy. They buy the benefits of you. They don't buy the features of you. They don't buy that you had 5 years of experience here and you know these 7 technologies. They buy what you can do with that, the unique value add. If you don't know how to articulate that, you're going to lose out in this market because there are other people that are doing a better job of conveying their UVA. And I'm going to give you a beautiful example of this to help drive this point home. Have you ever lost a job to somebody or you know somebody that you worked with that clearly wasn't as qualified as you, but they got the job? I mean, give me a like, give me a shout out, give me a heck yeah. If you've ever been in a situation where you're like, I can't believe he or she got that job. Right? You know what I'm talking about? Do you know why they got the job? Because they did a better job of conveying their UVA, their unique value add. They might not have had all the skills and the experience, but they did a better job of marketing themselves. And that may hurt to hear, but again, all of us can get better at marketing our UVA. All of us. We just weren't taught it. So if you want a better paying job, if you want those opportunities, like it or not, you are going to have to learn how to better market your unique value add. That's how you get the job. Yep. Yep. There you go. Oh, and then Leslie, oh, by the way, Leslie Ann says, and then they were fired 6 months later, right? Yeah. Okay, so there's the sweet revenge. Those people that get the jobs, they marketed themselves better, but then they got in there and they couldn't deliver. Oh yeah, that happens all the time, right? Which again, sweet revenge. But still, instead of them getting the job and being fired 6 months later, how about we get the job because we do a better job of marketing ourselves? That's what I want for you because you can do it. You can do it. Hiring manager said they'd be reaching out to applicants last week. They didn't. Should I check in? Yes. Anytime a company tells you they'd be reaching out to applicants by a certain date and that date comes and goes, it is totally okay about 2 business days after because you got to give them some grace to go ahead and check in. Absolutely. Yep. Go ahead and check in. How do you make sure a company isn't just wasting your time? I've had great interviews where the jobs were reposted. I've had companies give me offers only to rescind later on. Yeah. Okay, so a couple of things, folks. If a company rescinds an offer, you should absolutely try to find out why. So usually if you've been given an offer, they're good to go. If the job gets put on hold, that's one thing. But an offer being rescinded says, we've changed your mind about hiring you. So you do want to find out anytime your offer is rescinded, what is the reason why? Okay, be very mindful of that. Second thing is, why do we see so many companies reposting jobs? I'll tell you why. So when companies go to hire somebody, this is sort of a story, right? So somebody's been there for a while, they're doing a job, and then they leave. They go pull the original job description, and they quickly realize that this person was doing a lot more than the original job description. So now they try to throw together a new job description of what they want. They post the job, and they start collecting resumes. And then they do their first round of interviews. And in that interview, they realize, oh, we didn't write the job description right. Now that we've interviewed these folks, we realize we're not asking for the right things. Let's go back and tweak the job description a little bit, and let's look for new people with a different set of criteria. This is why you see jobs often reposted. Unfortunately, for a lot of companies, it's trial and error to get to a place where they have a solid job description and they know what they're looking for. And the only way they're able to actually figure that out is by talking to people and assessing and figuring out, okay, yeah, it turns out we want this quality, we don't want that quality. So it's very annoying. I get it. But it's unfortunate. A lot of companies do it, and that's their way of figuring it out. Remember, you go shopping. Let's put it to you this way. You go out shopping for something. Let's say you need a new sweater. All right. So you go out and there are all these different types of sweaters. You're like, I need a sweater. So great. They give you 10 sweaters to try on. As you try each one on, you're like, oh no, the shoulders aren't right on this. The color isn't right on this. The length isn't right on this. Okay. Now that you've given me 10 sweaters to try on, now I want a sweater in this color, in this size, with this details. You had to try to know what you really wanted. That is exactly what's happening with employers right now. So it's frustrating, but it happens. And the key, and this is something that I drive home all the time for you all, is play the long game. When you get a job interview with a company you really like, don't overly focus on getting that job. Focus on building a relationship. Focus on understanding what their pain points are. Focus on figuring out what they look for in hires across the board. Play the long game and let them know, I want to work for you someday. So I'm going to listen, I'm going to seek to understand, and I'm going to do what I can to be the candidate for this job. But if not, I really want to make sure that I build a relationship for you so I can be the candidate for the next job or the job after that. That is how you have to look at it right now. When you do that, you're going to be a lot more collaborative with these employers. They're also going to love you for it. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. Why do companies ask for a pay slip? That's a great question. Folks, if a company asks you for your most recent pay stub, they're trying to validate that you're making what they say you're making. Some states, that's totally illegal. Other states and countries, it is legal to do. You have to check the law in your country and your state. But yeah, sometimes they're asking because if you say you're looking for a certain amount of money, they want to know, were you making that money before? Is that a great practice? No, they should know what they're looking for in a candidate. They should be willing to pay for it. That's why a lot of states here in the US, for example, have done away with that, where you can't ask what they were making for pay. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is a tactic they use. How do I feel about taking Wonderlic assessments before moving forward? Yeah. So what do I think about assessment tools that companies are giving people that decide whether or not you move forward in the hiring process? I get asked this a lot. First of all, it's not going to stop. Let me be very clear. We are in the age of evidence-based hiring. When I was at LinkedIn Talent Connect a couple of weeks ago with 1,800 talent executives from around the world, it was an invitation-only event. They were all talking about evidence-based hiring and skills-based hiring and how much more they were going to be using assessment tools, because they can't tell if people really know what they're doing. So you're going to see a lot of this. Now, in addition to skills-based tests, there are also personality tests, aptitude tests. And these are becoming popular because they don't trust their own hiring managers to be able to assess people, and rightfully so, right? There can be a lot of bias there. So you're going to see a rise of people being given these tests, and then based on the results, whether or not you move forward. Do I like it? No. I know it's just another layer for you, but is it something that's going to continue to happen? Yes. And I'll be really honest with you. If you say, I don't want to take that test, they're just not going to move you forward. So you don't have a choice. So I say, if it's a company you really want, take the test. Yeah, that's all you can do, because it's not going to stop. Yeah. Very, very good. Very, very good. Let's see. What other questions do we have here? How to compete with much younger generation in a very difficult economic situation. All right, let's talk about this. If you're a more seasoned worker, I'm going to talk about how to compete against the younger worker. I'm going to give it to you straight right now. I'm going to give you the secret sauce, okay? First of all, you need to assess your UVA, your unique value add. In this case, you have a lot of experience and knowledge to solve very expensive, very painful problems. And you should be able to articulate how you know these are expensive and painful problems because of your incredible amount of experience. Right? Now, because you're a more seasoned worker, the expectation of you is that you can dial in and talk about that. And if you can't be very clear about the problems you solve and the pain you alleviate, they're going to question why. Because you have all this experience. It's called the wisdom tax. You're paying a wisdom tax. So you need to be dialed in. That's step one. Now, when I tell most seasoned people that, here's the mistake they make. They decide more is better. So they're like, I have all this experience. I solve these problems, alleviate pain, but I do all sorts of things. So I'm going to tell them I'm a Jack or Jill of all trades. I'm going to tell them I can do everything under the sun. I'm going to basically show them that I am a BMW for the price of a Honda. Nobody buys a BMW for the price of a Honda. We don't trust it. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of my seasoned workers go at this and fail. And that's when they say things to you like, oh, you're overqualified for this job, or you wouldn't be happy here, or you'd leave us the moment there was a higher paying job. Heard these before? So not only do you have to dial in on the problem you solve and the pain you alleviate, you've got to be very specific. Okay. You can't say you do everything. But then there's the last component that has to do with communication style. And this is, again, where I see a lot of seasoned workers make the mistake. See, they go into the interview with that I can do everything attitude, right? And they come across overbearing. They don't come across as consultative. See, when you're younger, you know you don't know everything. And so you'll go into an interview, share what you do know, but ask questions and be honest about, the things that you don't know and why you're so eager to learn. And so a younger person says, not only am I cheaper, but I have no bad habits. You can teach me. When you go in acting like you can do everything under the sun, you're giving off the vibe that you're expensive, you're a know-it-all, right? And you're going to be difficult to collaborate with. You're not going to listen. You're not going to take advice. You're not going to collaborate. So the communication style my more seasoned workers have to use is more collaborative in nature. And let me give you a specific example. You will go into these interviews and they will ask you a behavioral question like, tell me about a time when you had to do this, right? Now, the typical seasoned worker goes, oh my gosh, I've done that like 15 times. Let me tell you the 5 things you have to do every time or you're going to be in trouble. And they finish that and they think, slam dunk, home run, I crushed that. You know what the other side heard was, no, I know everything. I'm in charge. I'm never going to listen to anything. And, that's it. But that's not what you meant to do. You are enthusiastically sharing this knowledge. What I need you to do in this moment is to say, well, one idea comes to mind. Let me tell you about a time this happened. This was the problem. Here's how we solved for it. Here's why it was successful. However, I don't know if that 100% matches the environment here. Can you tell me, are there things different, any scenarios about what I mentioned that might be different that would mean it would be a different outcome? I'd love to get your feedback. Collaborative. You're showing that, yes, you have the experience, but you also understand your job is to solicit feedback and guidance from the people that already work there. These are the kinds of changes that I specifically work with my people over 40 and Work It Daily. In fact, in our interview prep course, there is a whole supplemental video on interviewing over 40 that talks about all of these things. Because what got you to where you are today, the way you interviewed before, doesn't work now. It lands wrong. And so you've got to change your strategy in order to compete. And now I'm going to give you a little good news. Okay. There are a lot of companies out there right now that want to hire more seasoned people that don't have time to train them, that know that they can hit the ground running, but you still got to deliver the right way so that you look like someone who's collaborative, that's going to be a good team player. And that's what you need to be thinking about in that situation. I hope that helped. Yeah. Awesome. Great. Folks, is this helping? Tell me, are you having any aha moments in this live podcast? If you are, what is the aha moment? I'd love to hear it right now. I've got about 7 minutes left. So I'm going to take a few more questions, but it means the world to me to hear what resonated with you today. What was your aha moment? The goal of this podcast is for you to hear something today you didn't know you needed to know. My goal is to make sure that you're like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought of that, JT. I didn't look at it that way. What's holding us back from success is something called the ignorance tax or the dumb tax. It simply means we don't know what we don't know, and that's what's holding us back. And all it's going to take is to learn these things in order to open up new doors, open up new pathways, get better results. So coming to sessions like this, listening and learning and getting aha moments is really, really vital. And that's what I'm trying to do for each and every one of you who are watching this today. So I'd love to hear your aha moments. Okay. Awesome. Let's see. How do you go about switching careers after 25 years? I'm looking for something that doesn't involve working with external clients. Okay. Very good. All right. Let's talk about how to change careers in 2025. I'm going to give you the 3 most important things you're going to need to do to make that happen. Okay. First of all, I need you to understand that applying online will not work for you at all, ever. And that is because your resume is your past. And when you apply online, they are matching you to your past. So the only thing you're going to be qualified for, the only thing people are going to seek you out for is what you've already done. You need to accept that that is not a channel or a path that's going to get you what you want. Okay. That is number one tip that I can give my career changers. Number two, it is going to be on you to decide what industry you want to be in, what problem you want to solve, and what transferable skills you're going to use to solve it. If you think recruiters and hiring managers can connect the dots and see that your 10 years in real estate makes you qualified to be an underwater basket weaver, you're dreaming. They're not that good. Okay. So you, my friend, are going to have to choose the industry, the problem you want to solve, which is essentially the type of job, right? And what skill sets you are going to transfer over and utilize. That becomes your unique value add. That becomes your brand messaging, right? You're going to have to get crystal clear on that. None of this, well, I'm looking at 3 or 4 different career options. Nobody's going to help you if you're all over the place. You are going to have to pick a lane with respect to the career that you want to move into, okay? Because you have to show that confidence in your brand. Now, once you do that, step 3 is something called informational interviewing. And this is where you are going to reach out to people that are doing that type of job and tell them, I'm not asking you to help me get a job. I am trying to understand what it takes to be successful in this role. It is a career I'm interested in pursuing, and I need to gather data and hear from successful people like you who have crushed it in this industry, in this job, in this skill set, in order to better prepare myself. People love to help people like that, especially when they're not feeling the pressure that they've got to get you a job. Why do you do this? Close your gaps in knowledge so that you can talk the language of the industry. You can talk the language of the job. Very important. Informational interviewing gives us that, okay? But it also starts to help us build a network of people in the industry, so that when a job that you're a fit for, that you want, is at that company, and you've had a conversation with that person, you can go to them and say, I so appreciated the conversation with you, and now there's a job that's a fit at your company. Can you give me some advice on what it would take to stand out? Now they've already met you. Now they already know you. Do you know how much easier it's going to be for them to refer you into that job? Much easier. You know what also happens in informational interviews? You jive with them, they jive with you, you're vibing, and they're like, you can do this job. Let me just introduce you to the hiring manager now. Because what they really need is to see your intrinsic motivation, which is just a super fancy term for what is motivating you, self-motivating you to want to pivot into this career that's going to make sure that you don't give up when it gets tough, right? Because you've got to learn things. They don't want to take a chance on you if at the first sign of adversity, you're going to give up. So you informational interviewing and talking about your story, about what's driving you to get into this career, is one of the ways you're going to provide evidence and authenticate the fact that you should be in this career and that people will give you a chance. Does that make sense to everybody? Those are the 3 things I would absolutely be doing in 2025 if I wanted to change careers. Now, once you do all that, if you want to learn the job search strategy, obviously we have the step-by-step program for that. Head over. It's your turn to grab the 7-day free trial. Claim your 7-day free trial today, risk-free, no cost to you, and let's get you in motion, okay? Because changing careers is about putting yourself in some classic temporary productive discomfort, getting you out of your comfort zone, getting you to learn something new so that you can open up new doors and new opportunities. That is a fact. You're going to have to do it. Awesome. You guys are amazing. Did you find this helpful today? Yes? Yes, yes? Okay. I will be back here tomorrow. I am live at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube tomorrow. That's my time tomorrow. You'll find them on all 3 of those platforms, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would love it if you came by and hung out with me. I will continue to answer your questions. I will continue to motivate you, empower you, give you what you need, because everyone deserves to have a career coach. Everyone. You should not be doing this alone, and you should be having somebody who's been doing this for a long time supporting you. Please don't get bad advice from people that shouldn't be giving you advice, okay? Please, at least give me the opportunity to make sure you're getting the right information at the right time, okay? Awesome. Amazing. Okay, I need to go. I've got other meetings, and don't forget, my members that are here, my Working Daily members, I'm back at 3 p.m. Eastern today, Job Search Boot Camp. It's my masterclass. Get in there. 3 p.m. Eastern today. And if you sign up for the 7-day free trial today, folks, just go to the calendar and you'll see it in the calendar of events, and you can come join me for a whole hour of job search advice. Okay. Awesome. All right. I love you all. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. And hopefully I'll see a bunch of you tomorrow and maybe a whole bunch of you this afternoon in my private masterclass. Bye, folks.